Welcome to Mediocre Main Character. I'm so happy. We finished the Bingley playthrough. We finished it. We aced it. He's ours. We're married. Where's the ring at, you know? But I love this game and I can't get enough of this fantastic game from 2011, Matches and Matrimony, a Pride and Prejudice tale. So we're going to play through and discover all 9 endings. We've already gotten the Mrs. Collins ending. We've got the Mrs. Bingley ending. We've got the Forever Alone ending. And we've got the Captain Wentworth ending. 4 out of 9. So join me today as I unlock the Colonel Brandon ending and any other endings that coincide with that. For the Colonel Brandon edition, what we need to focus on is our talent. That's the most important thing. We need so much talent that it spills out of us every single scene. We also need to make sure that we have a lot of willpower because we do need to turn down Mr. Collins, or the story will end before it even begins. I'm going to use chapter 1 and chapter 2 to build up all of the talent that I need. Talent and willpower. That's all we need, baby. The Colonel Brandon edition begins with us being invited to Lucas Lodge. There we go. Refinements of polished society. Mediocre! Lady Anne, your voice is beautiful, but it should not be shared so loudly that the neighbors can hear it. Oh, mediocre, why not enjoy the moment? So this is actually teasing out what we need to do. We need to be more like Lady Anne, since Lady Anne is the embodiment of Lydia from Pride and Prejudice and Marianne from Sense and Sensibility. Just wild, passionate. She just wants to live today, live loud. So we need to be a little bit more like that. If you limit yourself in your expression, you only limit your enjoyment. So we need to just unshackle ourselves from our judgy nature. Oh, hello, Mr. Denny. I'm going to live my Marianne Dashwood fantasy in this gameplay. So that includes having the dashing yet contemptible Mr. Willoughby in the picture. We won't get to meet Mr. Wickeby, which is Willoughby in this playthrough, unless we're nice to Mr. Denny. So, tell us, how's it going, Denny? Lydia Ann would rather be in London, and Denny's going there soon. I'll see what or who I can turn up. And he means Mr. Wickeby. Okay, go on, kids. Off with you. Mom, just leave us alone. We're playing our own game. You don't need to matchmake us. Yes, Mr. Denny likes us. Hi, Charlotte. I'm going to open the pianoforte. You know what follows. Yes, sure. I will sing, I will dance, I will play the pianoforte. There we go. It's our time to shine. Of course, Mr. Darcy's watching and judging. Stop getting distracted by Darcy. This is not the Darcy edition. We're looking to meet Colonel Brandon. There you go. It's a pleasure to meet you. I should do an Alan Rickman voice. How do I do it? It's a pleasure to meet you. I think that was good. Let me see in post, like when I'm editing it, if I can add like a clip from him from the movie, and then you can compare.
A picnic. Care to join us? On Thursday next.
Colonel Brandon is quite the music lover. He has a full-size conservatory at his estate in Middleton. It's a small room, but the piano is of good quality. Yeah, no, I nailed it. Thankfully, Mr. Collins took that exact moment to remind us of his existence. Bye, Mr. Collins. Why are you here? Bye. No. I'm not reading your crap. See ya. Go away. And he chased out Mr. Collins, but at least we've met him. We've met him, and that's the beginning. And then the rest of the chapter is immaterial, so I'm gonna skip ahead to the next time we see Colonel Brandon, which is a lot later in the game. This is the chapter where we meet Wickeby, aka Mr. Willoughby, in the Sense and Sensibility playthrough. Lydianne's super excited to go out to town to learn a little bit of something about the new guys. And we're gonna go to town as well. Oh, mediocre, look at this bonnet. I simply must have it. Yeah, we're shopping, we're enjoying ourselves, we're spoiling the vibes for our sister. And then we see Mr. Denny with a dashing young man by his side. Let me introduce you to our newest officer, Mr. George Wickeby. There he is with a baton for some reason. Cane, I guess. Mr. Wickeby was certainly a welcome introduction. His appearance was greatly in his favor, aka he's hot. All he needed was a nice set of army regimentals and he'd be completely charming, aka spicy. Ladies, it's a pleasure to meet you at last. Mr. Denny has spoken very highly of you. In this playthrough, I'm gonna have our character behave as Marianne Dashwood did, which is completely fall head over heels for Willoughby, aka Wickeby. This is Mr. Denny's associate, a newly commissioned officer from London, Mr. Wickeby. Mr. Wickeby, I am glad to meet you. Ha! Mr. Wickeby smiled at us because we introduced him. Such a simple pleasure. Of course, Mr. Darcy's lurking in the background. So clearly, there's some beef between them. And the rest of the chapter isn't of consequence. Basically, they've invited us to Netherfield for a ball. Okay, chapter 6. Where are we at? We need more energy. Go outside, go outside, go outside, and study the arts. Go. I could never expose him. This is the chapter where Wickeby gives us the backstory as to what's going on between him and Darcy. And this basically lets us act impulsively, irrationally, fall for Mr. Wickeby completely. That's the route I'm going to take. So we're out to town. But we're taking a long time getting ready because we want to make sure that we look gorgeous for Wickeby. Yeah. There they are. Hi, fellas. So our sister's finding a new dress, and Mr. Denny and her can go do that. We get some alone time with Wickeby, where he's going to give us a lot of backstory. And I'm going to skip through most of it, but I'll summarize it here. So we're going to choose to talk about Mr. Darcy in this edition because we want the tea. We want to believe that Mr. Wickeby's amazing, and we want the whole world to know that we're mad about Wickeby. And because we heard him out, he likes us more. Come along, Wickeby. We should let the Bennets be on their way. And he has to drag Mr. Wickeby away from us. Love that. Yeah. We're gonna act coy, though. I don't know what you're talking about. I wondered how I felt about Mr. Wickeby. But there was something in his eyes that made me wonder. Then we talked to Jane, and in this section, I'm just gonna blame Mr. Darcy and be extremely close-minded. The whole story is that apparently Mr. Darcy held Mr. Wickeby back from getting the inheritance he was promised. So we think Darcy's the devil. In Sense and Sensibility, Mr. Willoughby is penniless because he was always involved in intrigues. He's out to find a rich young thing that he can get money off of. And in between, he falls in love with Marianne. But what are you gonna do? Marianne doesn't have a single penny to her name. So Mr. Collins wants to dance with us at the Netherfield ball, but I'm gonna say I'm dancing with Wickeby. Strange that Mr. Wickeby did not mention it. Thanks for nothing, Lydianne. And now we're off to the ball. Dressed, Because our energy is always low because we go out so much. I think we need a lot more talent, and then we can go outside to end the week. The day of the great ball at Netherfield had arrived. With my excitement rising over the prospect of dancing with Mr. Wickeby, my heart began to be bold. No longer was just one dance enough. I now imagined 2 and 3 dances. What might the world say? Yeah, she wants to lock it down. She wants to lock Wickeby down. So we're off to Netherfield. Blinded by prejudice? I'm just gonna ignore the Bingley sisters. Hi. Hi, Denny. Wow, lack of compassion much. Lydiane's like, we have bad news, but not for me. Ah, Mr. Wigby's not coming. He stood us up. We're not in the mood to chit-chat. We're very rude to Mr. Denny because we just feel whatever we feel and we're very candid. So they're off dancing and I'm just gonna sulk. Oh, so we're feeling sorry for Mr. Wickeby because we think he's not at the ball because of Mr. Darcy. He deserves neither attention nor patience. You don't need to give him attention because he doesn't like you. Hi, Mr. Bingley. Fantastic. Why don't you two go dance? Oh, they're both so shy. So we're gonna go, okay? I see Charlotte standing over there. I simply must speak to her. Enjoy. Good for them. Oh God, Mr. Collins is intercepted. Sheesh. Ah, he gave me all the misery that a disagreeable partner for a couple of dances can give. Sheesh. Hi, Charlotte. Save me. Save me from this brute. Yeah, Mr. Wigby's not here because he doesn't want to run into Mr. Darcy. Not only has he suffered great wrong in the past, he's now suffering in the present, as it keeps him from good society. Society that he is now in great need of to forward his career after being so wronged in the first place. It was a silly idea to feel so attached to a man I barely knew, but I could not help doing so. Yeah, we've got a huge crush on him. Yeah, Mr. Wigby not being there soured our evening, but it didn't ruin it. And Mr. Wigby really likes us. Colonel Brandon likes us a little bit. Let's play on. Our energy is pretty good, and our willpower is pretty good too. So I'm just going to raise our wit and talent. I guess we could be a little kind too, right? Because in this scenario, we're not kind at all. Reading Oscar Wilde, reading Sense and Sensibility, practicing the pianoforte, Alfred Tennyson, visiting neighbors. Let's go. So I think this is the chapter where Mr. Collins asks us to marry him. And we're going to say, hell no. Bye, Mr. Collins. N-O. And carry on to chapter 9. Colonel Brandon has come to call. I think he's here specifically for you. Yes, I will work really hard to capture Colonel Brandon, even though he is hella old. He's on the wrong side of 5 and 30. Mrs. Bennet, Miss Mediocre Bennet, it is good to see you again. I'm not going to do it anymore. But I swear I nailed it. Though I had not thought to look too hard at Colonel Brandon when we met before, it was hard not to do so now, seeing as it was assumed he considered himself a suitor for me. His personage was silent and grave, which seemed to match his aged face. Though not handsome, his countenance was sensible, and his address particularly gentlemanlike. Just a shame that he wasn't younger. So now our mom's gonna talk us up and be like, oh, Mediocre really missed you. She loves you. And we're like, okay. Colonel Brandon wants to know if we've been playing the pianoforte. And we respond really passionately, without music, my life feels drained. Excellent. So we're just noticing that because he's older, he's a little different. But, it's fun to talk to him about art and music. So we're just impressing him with our knowledge of verse. And then we get a glimpse into his life. Something sad lingered in Colonel Brandon's eyes, as though he felt the despair of solitude himself. Oh, hello, Mr. Wickeby. This is new. I was in the neighborhood and could not help but call. I'm afraid I've quite lost track of the time. I must ask my leave of you. Good day, Miss Bennet. Mr. Wickeby's appearance had either given the colonel the opportunity to leave he had wanted, or had scared the good colonel off. Whatever further he might have said would have to be left to the imaginings of another day. And with Mr. Wickeby present, waiting for another day to think about the colonel seemed perfectly prudent. Yeah, who wants to think about the colonel when we got Hottie McHotpants right in front of us? I'm sorry to drive your friend away. Hey, I'm not with him. Don't get the wrong idea, Wickeby. I'm single, and I'm ready to mingle with you. Ah, very well then. It wasn't a prolonged look, but I certainly thought Mr. Wickeby took a more than a casual glance at Lady Anne. Wait a minute, I need to see that again. What a creep. Why is he checking out my sister? I marveled at what I thought I had seen and wondered how to properly evaluate the situation. Had Mr. Wickeby indulged in a wanton glance of my 15-year-old sister? It has been some weeks since we last spoke. Huh. As I said, I'm Marianne Dashwood in this scenario, and she's mad about Willoughby, right? So let's give her both endings and see how it goes. I had expected we would speak further at the ball. Yeah, Mr. Wickeby avoided it because he didn't want to run into Darcy. Yeah. I will say you're so forbearing, Mr. Wickeby. Mr. Wickeby smiled at my remark, and I could feel my cheeks flush a little. Mr. Wickeby likes us more. After speaking to my mother, he found himself obliged to stay for dinner. Ooh, what should we do? I don't think politics and Wickeby go together. I think poetry would bore him. Let's play and sing. A wonderful experience that I found most agreeable. Especially the duet I sang with Mr. Wickeby near the end of the evening. It was a song about the blooming of love between two people who felt they'd known each other from the moment they met. I was certain the sensations of the moment were not lost on Mr. Wickeby. Oh yeah. Mr. Wickeby passed by today, taking up most of my evening, which is to say that I do not think my evening could have been any better. We are so in love with Mr. Wickeby, even though he's a scuzzball. Of course, Colonel Brandon came by and we spoke for a while, but I think he's too old, which is very much in line with Marianne Dashwood's own feelings. Okay, I'm going to continue next time, but for now, I think we've got the perfect ingredients for a love triangle. This is the Marianne Dashwood edition, where we're going for Mr. Willoughby or Colonel Brandon. Depends on what works out for us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.